Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday night. It is 8 o'clock. That means it's time for the best show that no one is watching. This is the Get Off My Lawn podcast. I will be your host tonight. My name is John, and since it's my show, it's just natural that I take over hosting duties. Oh, wait, I've always been the host. It's always been my show, so here we go. If you are out there watching right now, I know several of you were already out there lighting it up in the YouTube live chat. So if you're out there watching, make sure that you get those comments in so we can see that you are here. If you are new, and I know that several new people did get invited to hang out and watch tonight. So if you are new, drop a comment, and we just like to know where you are. You don't have to give us your full street address. You can give us city or your county, your state even. If you're watching from a different country, you can just say which country it is. Whatever you want to do there, that is entirely up to you. So let's get this going here. Real quick here, we're going to bring some cool faces onto the screen and say hello to everybody. So first and foremost, we do have a special guest tonight. You've seen him out there in the live chat off and on, but we're bringing him onto the show tonight. We have got Tech Shooters with us. Is it okay to call you by your first name, or you just want me to leave you anonymous?
You can call me anything you want to, John.
Okay. I promise I won't call you late to supper.
Hey, that's perfect.
So Rich is here from 10X Shooters. We've also got a couple other of the usual suspects. So we've got everybody's favorite tactical teacher in the house tonight, and he is one of Lincoln's two most eligible bachelors. Travis P11, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great. We got a really ornery, chat going on over there on the YouTube side right now. People are out there singing and hollering and saying hello to each other. I'm excited for tonight. I think it's gonna be interesting discussion.
Gonna be a good night.
It's one of those what if scenarios. Like what if something happens, then what happens?
Rowdy is good as long as they keep it respectful and nobody goes at each other. Then or not seriously goes at each other. Patriot of the Dark likes to take cheap shots at me because he, I don't know, he thinks he's funny or something. He thinks I won't see it coming. I don't know what's happening there.
He causes a chuckle every now and then, but but we got D2 Live Moo out there. We got DJ Play Nice. We got a good crowd.
Before I forget, Patriot, I do see that Patriot is out there. So before I forget, dude, hit me back up. Let's I'll message you my phone number and we'll just I'll have you give me a call sometime, but not tonight. After I get this done, I am gonna be hitting the shower and heading to bed so I can get a good night's sleep. So real quick here, we've got one more guy waiting out there in the green room. Let's bring Joe on screen. Joe is, of course, a familiar face the last couple of weeks. He is one of my cohorts, I guess, on the board for NFOA. How are you, sir?
Not doing too bad today. Not bad at all. Been a busy week with all the snow, but not bad at all.
I know, right? That's why I have to.
What snow are you talking about?
Yeah, I got to get in the shower before I get in bed because I stink like snowblower exhaust.
Dude, that's awesome though.
It's a great snowblower, but it's got a design flaw where it blows the exhaust right back on the user. So anyway, I'm just thankful that we finally got it here. It's been in storage in a different town for a couple months after we moved. So we did go pick it up and bring it home earlier this week because we knew some real snow was coming. So far, I've been able to do just shoveling, and I'm glad I didn't have to shovel. We didn't get much. We only had about 8 inches of snow, but glad I didn't have to shovel that stuff. So, all right, a couple things that I want to cover before we jump into the discussion tonight. First and foremost, tonight's show is brought to you by Sandhills Defense LLC, which is, I think, one of the best firearm trainers in Nebraska at large, especially in Northeast Nebraska, especially in Norfolk, Nebraska. But the thing is, I have class. I will travel. So we do have a class coming up in March out in Ainsworth. We're only limited by imagination. So if you can find me a classroom and a safe place to shoot, and you've got a few people that want to take some firearms classes, hit me up. Go to Sandhills Defense LLC, or email me at instructor@sandhillsdefense.com. But you can go to sandhillsdefense.com, find all that stuff. Let me know if that's something that you want to do. We'll get in touch. If you're in Northeast Nebraska, North Central Nebraska, you know what? Like I said, I'll go to all the cool places. I hear Beatrice doesn't have a lot of good instructors, so I'll go down there if that's what we need to do. Whatever has to happen. So, but that is tonight's sponsor. Also, as always, we want to show our appreciation to the Self-Defense Radio Network. They have graciously allowed us to join some really, I think it's like standing among giants is how I say it. When you go look at the lineup that is part of the Self-Defense Radio Network, as far as cool, firearm friendly and freedom friendly shows, go check those out after we are done tonight. sdrn.us. And of course, last but certainly not least, the views and opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the individual expressing them and do not reflect the views of any of our sponsors or any of the other panelists. We all speak for ourselves and nobody else. We're not giving out any legal advice, no medical advice. I believe that nobody on the panel has a license to practice medicine or law. We're smart. We're just not certified. We're certifiable, but we're not certified in law or medicine. But anyway, that's kind of the rundown right there. Who do we have out there for some comments? Let's see who's joining us. We'll go through the whole list after the show and once we're wrapping up here. But G23 is out there. My beautiful bride, Sandhills Sweetheart, is in the chat. You guys know how this works. I can run my mouth or I can run my keyboard, but I got to pick one or the other. I can't do both. So she does the typing while I do the talking. Travis is out there and in here. We've got Asta 3019. Glad to have you along for a first timer. Let's see. We've got Patriot out there. We've got, I know there's more people. M. Gabriel, you made it. Awesome. Joe Jag is here. Let's see what else we have. Two Live Moves in the house. Sam of Anarchy, DJ Play Nice, Ronald Robertson, coming from somewhere very, very near me, somewhere in my town. So I am in Norfolk, Nebraska as well. I know we've got more people. If I haven't said your name and you're commenting, throw more comments in there so I see you come back through. Ozzy's out there barking at the moon. So yeah, hunting and stuff with J&J. Welcome back. Blitz. They're more and more coming in all the time. I can't keep up with them anymore. You guys are rocking it out there. So yeah, like I said, if you're new, drop a comment, let us know where you are. If you're watching, drop a comment and just let us know that you're there. We've got Eric McKee out there popping in. Cool. Omaha, I know you're not going to comment. I did get your text and I'm sorry that we were 2 minutes late. My gosh. Okay. So, now that we've covered all of that, couple quick announcements. We're going to get into the discussion. When we're done, I do want to talk a little bit about what's happening with NFOA going on this weekend and into next week. So stay tuned for that. We won't make everybody that's showing up for the main discussion. We won't make you sit through all that. But if you want to know about NFOA stuff, then hang out and we'll do the rundown once we are done with our main discussion here. We've kind of wrapped that up. So all right, more people coming in all the time. Okay, we're just going to kind of jump into this. And two of the people on the panel here are certified firearms instructors, Rich and myself. And then Travis and Joe aren't instructors. Well, Travis is a teacher, but he's not a firearms teacher. But you guys have been through different classes in your lifetime, and you've been around firearms quite a bit. But the main reason that you guys are here as well is because you also understand the merits, why constitutional carry is a good thing for instructors. So let me just kind of start this out by saying that over the years, I've heard of a lot of people that are firearms instructors, and that's their main livelihood, who fought tooth and nail against constitutional carry because they thought it would mean the end of their career, that they would have to close up shop. And The numbers don't show that. If you look at any of the states that have passed constitutional carry, typically what you see is that the number of concealed carry permits actually increases. And there's a few reasons for that, but the biggest thing is people start carrying without a permit because they can. They get used to it. They decide that they don't want to give that up when they cross state lines, and not every state, not everybody can cross a state line into a constitutional carry state or another one. So, for instance, if somebody's in South Dakota right now, they don't need a permit to carry in South Dakota. But if they want to come into Nebraska, then they have to have their South Dakota enhanced permit. So there's still reason for those people to keep their permit to get it or to keep it current. Same thing with us. If we do go constitutional carry, a lot of Nebraskans do visit Colorado, and you'll still need your Nebraska CHP in order to carry there. So that's just one of the main reasons. So, Rich, I'm going to turn this over to you a little bit, because you had commented to me here a little while back that you originally were also opposed to constitutional carry from an instructor's point of view. So will you tell me a little bit about that, and then just kind of your journey from there to where you are now, as far as your feelings towards constitutional carry?
So when it first came up, I was totally against it. I thought, this is just bad for the industry. This is bad for my livelihood. This is just not a good thing for Nebraska. Well, I made my opinion on little to no facts. Okay, so now this has came about again, and now I've actually took the time to understand what is at stake here. And to have constitutional carry in Nebraska is huge for us. It is the right thing to do. We shouldn't have to pay for our rights. Okay, and that's what this is about. We shouldn't have to pay for a license to carry a firearm. Okay, we have the right, the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Blah blah blah. Everybody totes that banner, and which is amazing. That's what we need. It's what our forefathers put for us to carry on. But with that all being said, after getting the right information, and opening my mind up, so I've gone through a lot of things. Will this affect instructors? Honestly, it may affect the concealed carry classes. But if you're teaching other classes beside the concealed carry, there's websites that I can tell you to go look, and they've done the studies. It's going to increase those other classes, whether it's defensive pistol, doing NRA classes, protection inside and outside the home, and vehicle courses. I can just keep going on and on. But those classes that are those upper tier classes are where you can add more money to offset what you're going to lose for concealed carry.
Yeah, very
so
true.
That is, of course, that is definitely a feather in the hat. And all these years that I've seen instructors, myself included, I've hung my hat on that concealed carry class, thinking this is gonna put some bread on my table. Never thought, hey, so constitutional carry, oh man, this is gonna hurt me. Well, stop and think and be smart about it. So I did that, and I noticed that, yeah, I may that end of it, but since I teach other classes, I'm going to gain more on that other side, because people are going to be interested on, hey, I do really want to train more, and I see the overall outcome of how this could happen. So definitely a bonus. And if you stay in the state, you don't have to have a permit, like you said. You go out of state, it's going to be nice to have it. So it's best of both worlds, to be honest.
Well, and what we've seen by and large is in our neighboring states. For those of you that didn't get an A+ in geography, Nebraska borders 6 different states, and 5 of those currently have constitutional carry in their states. So Wyoming, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas, we can cross into those states, and we as Nebraskans can carry permitless, I believe, in all 5 of those. None of those states have a provision that only pertains to their own residents, like say North Dakota does. And so and Colorado would be the 6th that we border that doesn't allow that. So yeah, here's what we see, even just looking at those other states, is that not only do the citizens still seek out the CHP class or whatever they call it in their state, but they tend to seek out more training just as a whole, because by and large, most Americans, and especially Americans in the middle of the country, the flyover states, as it were, and I'm kind of happy about that for the most part. I'd like to keep Nebraska secret and keep it beautiful and not get it California. So yeah, it's ugly and boring and flat here. Y'all don't want to come here. But anyway, most of the good people out here, they're responsible. They recognize the need for training. There is, and I can tell you this from experience, and I've only been an instructor for about a year now, but the demand for training far outweighs the supply. And if there were more instructors, there'd be even more people, I think, willing to take classes. It's time and distance right now that seem to be the only two contributing factors to reasons why people don't take more classes now across Nebraska. And it's incidentally the same reason I don't offer more classes as an instructor, because it's not my full-time job. I've got a full-time job, and then we've got 2 companies, one of which is the instructor business, and we're trying to make that grow. But I've got to have time, and I've got to have a place to do a class. And so I would offer more if I had all my weekends free, but I don't. So we work around the full-time job schedule. But that's just it, is you out there as viewers and listeners, that those of you that aren't instructors, you already know this. You have to work around your work schedule too. And so whenever I have a class, I get tons of interest, but it's not always that many that actually are able to sign up, because it falls on a weekend. It falls on a weekend where they already had something planned, or they're not going to be around, whatever, or they have to work. And so, yeah, more classes would actually be beneficial too, because, and the reason I said that is because there is a huge demand for training. Even now, just, being a shall issue state, there are way more people that want to take my class than I can get in to a class. And of course, if you're an instructor that teaches the Nebraska CHP course, you already know this, but the State Patrol regulates how many students can be in the classroom per one instructor, and how many shooters on the firing line per one instructor. And so we can have a ratio of 25-1 in the classroom. So doing this all alone, I can only have 25 people at a time in a class, and then on the firing line at the range, you can only have 5-1. So, which is why I have a sign-up sheet, and we block the day out into hour-long blocks to get everybody through. But only 5 at a time can be on the line at any given time. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get through a class. So doing things the way I do it, and I don't have an indoor range, so we have to work with the weather, right? And not only the temperature, but also the length of daylight in the day. That's why I don't have classes this time of year, because I don't have an indoor place to shoot, which means we have to get it done in the daytime. And right now it's a little chilly too. So it's hard to expect people to sign up for a class where they have to go outside and shoot and reload magazines where they can't feel their fingers. I totally understand the hesitancy to sign up for something like that. Plus, the instructor himself is going to be out in it all day long, typically. So, I'm tough, but I'm not that tough in the cold. I am built for cold, so I can handle some of it. So yeah, we know that the demand is out there, but what we're going to see, and any of you that are watching because you would like to know exactly why constitutional carry is something that every instructor should push for. And that is my goal tonight, is to convince some of you maybe who aren't either you're sure you're against it or you're not sure you're for it. We're going to present some reasons why we should all as instructors work together. We should all as Nebraskans work together to get LB 77 passed. But there's several different reasons, and we're just going to kind of, again, not go around the horn. We'll just make this kind of just like a round table, and we'll be courteous and try not to walk on each other here. But first and foremost is just kind of what you said. So once we negate the requirement for a permit, then the requirements of the class can be messed with too. Now, again, every instructor who offers the CHP now is going to keep offering it, right? And you're going to want to, because you'll find out more people will decide that they want to take that class. And the state patrol dictates what has to be covered in your curriculum. And so typically you're looking at, depending on the instructor, 6 to 8 hours of time sitting on your butt in the classroom. And then depending on how the instructor sets up their range sessions, you might just go shoot your 30 rounds and that's it. I typically have people practice a little bit and get more comfortable shooting side by side on the line, because typically right now, the only instruction that 90% of Nebraskans will ever go to is the class for their CHP, and they'll never take another class. And part of that is because they think that the CHP class is designed to teach them everything they need to know. Well, that's true, and it's not. It's true because everything has to be covered in a certain way, not only the Nebraska state laws that pertain, but also you have to talk about de-escalation. You have to talk about conflict avoidance. You have to talk about the use of deadly force when it's justifiable, when it's not justifiable. Yeah, what am I missing, Rich? You have to talk about safe storage. You have to talk about how firearms work and how cartridges work. Basically, it's designed to, if you've never been around guns before, then this class is going to basically teach you the stuff, even the basic beginner stuff. And the problem with that I have,
the basic fundamentals.
Yeah, the basic fundamentals. The thing about this is typically the people who show up to a CHP class, if you don't already know how to shoot your gun and how to load and unload and clear basic malfunctions like a stovepipe jam or something like that, then you shouldn't be in the CHP class. You should be in a beginner's class, an intro to firearms, something like that, because showing up to a concealed handgun permit class not knowing how to shoot your gun is really the same thing as showing up to the DMV to take your driver's test not knowing how to drive the car. The driver's instructor is not there to instruct you. He's there to grade you. He expects, or she expect, that you already by that point know how to run the machine. And the state of Nebraska, when it comes to handguns, it's a little bit different, because that should be the case. But at the same time, they still assume that there's going to be somebody in the class that doesn't know anything. And so they have to take into account that we need to teach those folks some stuff too. So it's a lot of sitting through stuff that you already know. Cleaning the gun's another one that has to be touched on. And so once constitutional carry gets passed, then the opportunity is there to cut out a whole bunch of that, or cut it into smaller blocks. If you want to teach a class that's only the Nebraska state law portion, people want to know where they can and can't carry, things like that, what the laws on the books here say. That's something that every Nebraskan should sit through and learn before they carry a handgun, whether concealed or open. I think everybody should know that stuff. You can cut out the de-escalation and conflict avoidance. You can cut out the using deadly force and when it's justified and when it's not, and make those all separate classes. You don't have to charge the full amount that you would for a CHP. You can do it in an hour or two instead of 6 to 8. Each one of those, people can pick and choose what they want for classes, and then the ones that want to get their concealed handgun permit absolutely have the option of taking the full class, which is the only way to get certified, to get that certificate to go apply for that.
John, another thing too is that as a consumer myself, the way you market it's going to be important. You can market it as a series of courses, like you said, a person could take. We'd have the level 1 beginners class and have a level 2 class and then have like a gun law class. You could have like a series, almost like an academy you could go through and take the different modules, and have that instruction. Because I look at all the different classes I've taken, and it would have been convenient just to be able to go to one place with one instructor and do them all instead of going to 4 or 5 different instructors in different locations. You just got to be more creative with the marketing too. People are worried about losing the concealed carry registration dollars. Well, there's going to be a lot of basic firearm ownership courses I think people will take. Understanding of the law. So you get, like you said, you could cover it in one class or break it into several classes. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for instructors. You might just have to kind of open up your mind to what you do.
That's very cool.
See, I do a fighting pistol 1, 2, and 3, and
see, that's what I took with my
1 and 2 and 3 as well. And
I took a defensive pistol 1 and 2 class with the same instructor that did my concealed carry class. I took those as separate classes also on the side because I liked his style. I liked the presentation. It was fun to do a lot of shooting. I loved the drills that we did, and he made money off my attending his courses. It was a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly right. Okay, before we go any further,
and I think that's where.
Give me just a second, Rich.
I think that's where the instructors are going to gain the most.
I think you're right. We're gonna bring in one more panelist here who is also a firearms instructor, not from Nebraska. This has been an all Nebraska panel until now. So we're gonna bring Rob Beckman, who you may know from the Firearm Trainer podcast. If you're in Ohio, you may know him because you've taken his class. If you are listening and not watching right now, I promise his name is Rob. He is not a TV star whose voice you may recognize.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
I like that introduction.
You never hear that, right? Nobody ever tells you sound like that guy.
No, never.
No, exactly right.
They always look at me and like, you sound like somebody like Fred Flintstone. Like, no, not exactly. It's like, yeah, Fred Flintstone, John Goodman. Yeah, John Goodman. It's like, yeah, he played Fred Flintstone. They get it.
Oh, I was gonna say Ricky Ricardo, so I don't.
Okay.
I guess Desi Arnaz, but still, no, I'm kidding. That's obviously you sound a lot like John Goodman. We've talked about this before, Okay, so get back to the comments here. I wanted to throw in one more comment up on the screen here, or at least I'm going to say I'm going to do it. I guess you'll never know if I do. But Patriot out there, for those of you that don't know, Patriot in the Dark is a concealed carrier who is blind. He can't see. And so he says, I got my CPL, so if I ever get pulled over driving, I can hand them it. It'll be hilarious. Yeah, you're going to get busted, but not for a concealed handgun. That's for sure. You're probably still going to be in some trouble, dude. Just saying. But that's awesome. So, all right here. So, Rob, you've had constitutional carry over in Ohio now for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 7 months so far.
You've been a trainer for a day or two now.
Mm-hmm.
And so what have you seen in Ohio? And I don't know, I'm guessing you probably have your finger on the pulse a little bit of statewide how people are seeking out training and things like that. But what are you seeing in Ohio? Does it kind of support what we've been talking about here?
Well, in my mind, I'll go back and give it just a chronological kind of progression from Ohio's had concealed carry since 2004. Concealed carry classes back then were 12 hours, and they costed about $200 to doing. I mean, that was heck of a gravy train for the instructors that were out there teaching it. Go along and fast forward to about 2015, they took it down from 12 hours down to 8 hours. The course requirements really didn't change at all except for the time for it. And then just last year, they took it from the 8-hour course to get your permit down to, or they start recognizing permitless carry. And the one thing that was really interesting about it during that whole time, and I've been teaching for a little over 12 years now, is I've seen the students haven't really changed a whole lot. Initially, there were a lot of firearm enthusiasts that were doing it, but in the past 12 years, most of them have been uh, the suburban people that want to have some ability to protect themselves. It's been urban people that are fed up with the street crime, different things, and they need something to protect their families with. And the one thing that I always got down to the end of the concealed carry class, the state required concealed carry class, and I'd ask them, does everybody feel like they're ready to go out there and carry? And they'd all be shaking their heads, and I'd be saying, no, you're not. No, you're not. You've got to understand the law better. You need to understand firearms better and how to shoot. In 8 hours, you just don't have enough time to give them what they actually need. And the nice thing I like about permitless carry is it allows us to craft the classes to what the students need, not to what a bureaucrat wanted. There's still a lot of advantages to having a concealed carry card that you carry. It kind of turns into a good guy card if you do get pulled over. But also, too, at the same time, I tell people it might be your right to go along and carry permitless, but it's also your responsibility to know the laws, because there is no excuse to go along carrying into a, i.e. post office, government building, police station, all these no-go zones that when we go over it in class, we actually teach you about it. I've got a fairly decent number of people that follow my Facebook group for my training, where I bring up different self-defense scenarios, and I have people ask, okay, what would how does this sound to you, and read what happened to them overall as far as how they reacted to it, and then all of a sudden they get charged because they did something that they shouldn't have done. During that whole situation, they escalated the fight. They did things, and that's where I go along and tell people, just because you read the rules book, coming out from the state, doesn't mean that you have the knowledge you really need to understand how it's going to be applied for it, and staying up with the current laws, staying up with how it's applied in various states. I'm down here in Cincinnati. I can throw a stone and hit Kentucky, and in 10 minutes, I can walk over to Indiana. I'm that close to, 2 other states. And that's where, I always tell people, make sure you understand, because what's legal in Kentucky isn't necessarily legal in Ohio or Indiana. And you've got to be a lot more well-rounded than just a 8-hour course for it.
And that's the problem, is to cram everything that people need to know into 8 hours is, like you said, it's impossible. You can only just hit the high points of each topic. You can't dig into any single thing. And again, that's the problem that I have too, with even what Nebraska State Patrol has set up. Now, we don't have a specific time limit or time minimum. So the State Patrol wants to make sure that each point gets covered. How long it takes you to do so is up to you. They don't require a minimum amount of time, as long as the curriculum does cover all the stuff that is required. So that's pretty neat too.
And here's something for instructors that are out there kind of listening and thinking, okay, my gravy train is going to go away.
Right.
I can honestly say in 2022, I taught less concealed carry holders, their permit class. But I can tell you the number of students I taught actually went up, because instead of just offering concealed carry classes, I was able to go along and offer less than lethal classes with pepper spray. I could go along and offer classes like legal use of force class, first aid class, because, hey, you're going to carry a firearm. You're going to be in a violent situation. You're going to need to know how to patch yourself up, your family member up, or more likely not, you're going to see an accident. You're going to be the first responder there. And, if you can save somebody from bleeding out from an accident, that's even better. So it's kind of life skills, doing things. And I've taken my business and pivoted along those lines. I'm not, relying on doing concealed carry class every single month, but okay, once a quarter, you get a good sized class, and filling the rest of the time and telling people, hey, I'm doing a, advanced pistol draw class next month, for, 4 hours. And then we're going to talk about legal use of force. Done some force on force classes, which, as I go along and tell people, it's really easy to go along and shoot a piece of paper. It's a whole nother ball game when the piece of paper starts shooting back at you, and starting to wire the brain properly on when would you and how would you properly engage somebody if that time ever came about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the instructors, and like I said earlier, I've only been an instructor for about a year, and it's not a full-time job for me. It is a part-time gig right now. So I don't have this developed, but the instructors who have gone through and developed courses for shoot, don't shoot isn't even that's an invaluable tool, because that introduces some critical thought into the more than just action reaction, right? So,
Right.
so now you have to decide, is the alien doing the chin-ups on the streetlight okay, and you're going to shoot the little girl with the advanced applied physics book? Kudos to
Yeah.
all of you out there in the audience that actually got that reference. But yeah, I mean, that makes a huge difference. And again, as an instructor, once your state goes constitutional carry, your income and your offerings to the public are only limited by you and your imagination, really. So the cool thing is you can develop over time what works the best, what the public is really looking for, what they're going to sign up for. So if people want to know about the legal stuff, you can do that. But yeah, the first aid thing is a huge one, because those of you that own both a firearm and a tourniquet, I mean, you're infinitely more likely to need that tourniquet in your lifetime than you are that firearm. Now, we put a lot of emphasis on the tool that goes bang, right, and learning how to use that correctly and safely. But the tool that you're actually more likely to need, you should practice with that too. So yeah, that's an amazing thing. I don't offer that class here because there's somebody else in town who offers it for less than I would charge. I took that class, and I'll just point people to that one because I can't do it better, and I don't want to compete. So I'll focus on other stuff that I can do that I'm good at, and let them do what they're good at.
And here's something else that I always go along and tell instructors when they go along, and oh wow, states go and permitless carry, constitutional carry. What am I going to do? And I tell them, you realize that 80-90% of what new students think is going to happen during a gunfight is based on movies and such.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody gets shot and they get blown through the glass in a wall or something else like that. You go along and show them actual shootouts, and it doesn't happen like that. The bad guy doesn't go down on one shot. And that's where you've got to help reprogram their minds to understand that, hey, you've got to have the fight, the will to live, and the determination to see tomorrow if you're going to survive a violent encounter, because some of it might be guns, some of it might be hand to hand, but at the end of the day, guess what? You've got to still have that drive and that will to survive, because it's going to be your worst day, and before help gets there, it's going to get really bad before it gets better.
Exactly right. And something else that we do cover a little bit in our classes here in Nebraska, or at least it's part of the curriculum that I use through USCCA. But what people also need to realize is, if you ever have to defend yourself with that firearm, you need to know what comes next, because we spend an awful lot of time working up to and including the press of the trigger. And there's so many times that people are just completely unprepared for what happens after that, because it's kind of like when you're kids and all the neighborhood kids get together, and you've got your bikes and you've got a cinder block and a 2x4, and you make that ramp, right? And the plan is to get a good run at it, pedal as fast as you can, hit that board, go up that board with your bike, and that's as far as we ever planned. Once we got airborne, we didn't know what was coming after that, right? We didn't have a plan for what to do after we launched that bike, and it never ended well.
You always let Mikey go first, right?
Right, right, exactly. So yeah, that's exactly what happens in a lot of situations in life, where the follow through and the training on what to expect after you've used your firearm is, that's something that needs to be
interacting with police, because again, Hollywood would lead us to believe that you shoot that career criminal, the police are going to come up to you, pat you on the back, and like, you saved us a lot of trouble. Thank you.
Yeah.
But in reality, anybody who's gone along and done any research on how shooting actually goes, they're going to look at you and it's like, okay, we're going to have a long talk. And you're probably going to end up in jail cell for the night as they're trying to sort through everything to see whether were you one of his cohorts, that he ended up getting shot in the process of you committing another crime, or, who are you, and different things like that. And that's where people always ask the question, like, but I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, oh, right, but the police are there at that point to go along and make sure, and collect evidence.
And the police, it's another thing that I hear a lot, is I had the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability. Once you invoke that right to remain silent, it's on you to actually remain silent, right? So a lot of people are afraid that they'll look guilty and the police, won't believe that they're the innocent party. But the reality is that's not the police's job. They don't decide who's guilty and who's not. They just collect all the facts and give it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor decides if he or she thinks you're guilty and worth charging or not. And so it makes you look smart, not guilty, if you actually clam up and wait for an attorney to be present before you answer any questions.
Have you ever looked into or read the story about Thomas Yaxall out in Arizona? He saved that Arizona State Patrolman life by killing his attacker.
That sounds familiar. I think I've read briefly on that, but not in depth.
I've had him on my podcast before, but just to preface it, he pulls up a bad guy, shot the state trooper, then was beating him, mercilessly on the side of the road, and he decides to pull over, pulls his gun, shoots him. And then all of a sudden he starts hearing the sirens and everybody coming toward him. Think about, what would you do in that situation? You're the only one that's not hurt, and you've got a gun. You got a whole bunch of police coming, and they're coming because they got an officer needs assistance call. That's a really, really bad situation. He told me that he spent about 8 hours in the back of a cop car as they were trying to unwind everything on the side of the road. And you can imagine the scene was chaotic, but after the 8 hours, they finally figured out he was a good guy, got him lunch, helped him get on his way and everything. But it's a story that you really got to kind of listen to and think about, what would you do? Because I know some people go along and say, not my circus, not my, not my, job to get there on the side of the road. But how many people could actually drive by somebody, police officer, particularly, and just watch them getting beat mercilessly on the side of the road?
Oh yeah. That's something that we talk about when I teach classes is, in Nebraska, you do have the right to use deadly force to not only save yourself from imminent threat, but, a third party as well. And I tell people, it's entirely up to you, and nobody knows until the time comes, exactly what you're going to decide. But your first duty is to get home to your family. But at the same time, I also understand that you've got to be able to face the person looking at you from the mirror, and you got to live with yourself. And if you're not the type of person that can live with yourself for not coming to the aid of somebody, provided all the context and the whole situation, and clear cut who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, then again, you are justified here in Nebraska to intervene on behalf of a third party as well. So yeah, that's a big thing. So look up
that story, because it really does, for those listeners, it really will send chills up your spine when you're reading about it.
Do you have a link handy that you can get to for your episode of that where he was on there? If you can throw that over in the private chat, I'll copy and paste it into the comments.
I will get that in just a minute here.
Okay, so Travis and Joe, I know you guys aren't instructors, but feel free to kick in any thoughts you have at this point, as far as as I guess, since we're the producers of the training, you guys are the consumers. So speaking from the consumer end of it, what do you guys think there?
I after taking my concealed carry course, I really wish that I would have had more instruction on just like Nebraska state law and the statutes. Like, I knew what I was told not to carry, but there were technical situations I've run into where I didn't know who to ask questions of. Like, okay, for work, I have to stow it in my vehicle, but I got to get out in a parking lot, and it's a place where guns aren't allowed. What am I supposed to do? Do I stow it before I get on the parking lot? It's just, when you go into the statutes, the way that they're written, just your average person who doesn't follow the law, it can really be hard to follow. So, I mean, if I could have had further instruction, some other course I could have taken, or just a gun law course, or just, just whatever you want to call it, just like beyond just the concealed carry course, but the actual what if scenarios or whatever, that really would have helped me tremendously, because I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, how these things work, or even trying to figure out reciprocity maps and where to go for resources on that, and what's up to date and what do their laws actually mean. Questions like that would have been nice to have, and just like maybe an advanced handgun course or something, or like, now you're done with your carry permit course, let's go to the next level. It would have been nice to have that kind of instruction, because I mean, you think the laws, but do you really? We don't really know. So
exactly.
Like I said, I think that there are a lot of options for more courses people can take, just going beyond concealed carry. And I think a lot of people, especially in Nebraska, when we get constitutional carry, there'll be a lot of people that decide that they want to take some basic firearms education courses, because they know they want the handgun. They like the ability that they can conceal and not make people panic, when they go into the places they go into, but they might not have ever handled a gun before. So I just think that you have a potential for a lot of Nebraskans that they're going to want to educate themselves. So, yeah.
Sure. Joe, anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I enjoyed the concealed carry class so much, I ended up taking it twice. So. Yeah, I ran out of time, went and had it, and then I'd do it again. But honestly, even in that case, I had a positive attitude about it, because it's like, what you missed the first time, you picked up the second time. And then I got it taken care of, and I agree with Travis on that. I think a lot of people think that the carry conceal class is kind of the one all be all, and it's all the information, and there's so much more. I mean, just if you're carrying behind you in an Apex or on the side, and you're in a vehicle and you're like, crap, I can't get out here with this. And so here you are struggling in the front seat. You try not to flag yourself and box it before you ever get out, in those situations, or else you have to leave, go somewhere else, get out, do it, and then come back. There's a lot of scenarios that I agree with them with, that I think that some additional training, some different situations would really be beneficial. And I think that having constitutional carry will definitely get a lot more people going, okay, I can carry, but I want to be safe. They know they need to be safe, and they're going to show up and want more of those classes.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to open up the field for you guys to even advance farther than what you teach now. I really do.
I think so too. And Travis, you kind of touched on this here just a second ago too, but even if you're out there and you're an instructor and you're in a state like Nebraska that has not yet gone constitutional carry or permitless carry, if you would consider maybe offering the just a refresher course on the state law portion, I guess it just now dawned on me that I don't have to wait for Nebraska to get that before I make that an option, because I can cover that in a couple hours time. And there may be current CHP holders out there who, they've had their permit now for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And almost 20 years. And
the laws have changed.
Nobody's had one for 20 yet, since we got it in 2006. But
carry permit refresher course, just call it that. Like, do you know the current laws? Do you know what? Just
Nebraska, Nebraska law portion of the CHP class would still be something that I think everybody should sit down and take. One of the things that I haven't scheduled it yet, but I do have a class, about a 3-hour class. It's on home defense, but it also covers the justification of deadly force in the aftermath of a shooting. It's all wrapped up in there. And it's something that can be taught. There's no firearms in the classroom. There's no live fire required. Anybody can take it. If you're not a carrier, but you're a firearm owner and you've got a home defense gun, you still need to know when you're justified, when you're not. A lot of people, and Rob and Rich, I'm sure you guys see the same thing where you are too, but how many times have you seen eyebrows go up when you explain to somebody that they cannot shoot somebody for taking their stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Several.
Yeah.
Or shoot them and drag them back in the house.
Yeah.
I've heard that so many times.
Oh,
But it's a Hollywood, urban legend type of thing. It keeps getting repeated. I mean, you see it on TV shows and stuff like that. And that's why people think, oh, that's got to be all right. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's modern crime scene investigation. They figure out very quickly that the body was moved without a question.
Yeah. There's no way to hide that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think we did this here several years back, but I think that here in weeks to come, we may just have an episode of bad advice from instructors that people have gotten over the years. And if your instructor says to do this, maybe don't do this. That'd be a great topic for down the road.
John, that makes a really good example, though, of like you were saying earlier. And I think Travis was the one that said he took like 2 or 3 classes from one guy because he really enjoyed it and had a good time.
Uh-huh.
I think that makes a really good point, because we've all had those guys that you just kind of, you look at them funny, kind of like, really, did you just say that? And I think when you're able to build a rapport with a good instructor, you're gonna come back more. It's like a return customer. Hey,
Exactly.
you're in that business anyway. But I think that definitely helps, that they're not going to give you the bad advice, and I really think that's a positive, because I think we've all definitely heard it.
Yeah. And we've gone through in the past and had an episode where we talked about what not to look for in an instructor, if your instructor, and it's not so much specific advice that they teach, but it's more, if your instructor says that everybody that's ever taught a class before is full of crap, and this way that I'm teaching is the only right way, stuff like that should be a huge red flag. If your instructor says that their way is the only right way, then you probably should not sign up for more classes from that person. Because we all know that it's such an individual journey, right, to go on the concealed carry path or the home defense path or self-defense path, whatever it is. And so, I mean, there are a few things that are universal, right? Don't point a loaded gun at something that you can't afford to replace. Yeah, that's a given. But when it comes to, certain techniques or whatever, nobody has all the answers. It's just like going to a college, going to college or anything else. There's no professor in any given college that knows everything that there is to know about a given topic. And so if you want to be a great doctor, you don't only ever learn from one doctor, right? You take classes from several different doctors. If you want to be a great shooter, you don't only ever learn from one other shooter. You should seek out classes from lots of different instructors. Again, if you find somebody that you click with, there's absolutely no reason to not keep taking their classes. If the business is Sandhills Defense in Northeast Nebraska and you like the instructor, please absolutely sign up for more of his classes. But
not a shameless plug right there.
No shameless plugs right there. I'm just plugging our sponsor for tonight's show. That's all. It's entirely non-self gratifying. Nothing whatsoever. You know what? In fact, we could even do here. Let's just do that since it goes up above Travis's head now. Okay. And Rob, I do see where you had dropped that link in the private chat. So let me get that put in here.
Yeah, it's a heck of a story to listen to. I bring that up to a lot of instructors as well as students, because how many times do you get to talk to a civilian who's been in a shooting and at the same time in a really bad situation, in that there was a officer shooting and he wasn't the person who was shooting, but you're the guy holding the gun when all the other officers come, which is just like the worst case scenario that could have went south really quick if he wasn't smart about things.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's an old cliche at this point, but it's so true. You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so there are so many things. Every class that I take, I learned something that I didn't even know I didn't know. And the more classes I take, the more knowledge I gain, the hungrier I get for more knowledge. It's like what's that old story with the subtraction soup? The more you eat, the hungrier you get. it's kind of like that. The more instruction I consume, the hungrier I get for more instruction. And so, again, even as a trainer, we don't stop taking other trainers' classes either. We always want to stay sharp. As an educator, Travis never stops his education. Your education is ongoing to be a better teacher, and education should be ongoing to be a better teacher on the firing range as well. And again, that goes back to, anybody that says they know everything there is to know clearly doesn't know. Well, I shouldn't say doesn't know anything, but clearly doesn't know anything. So I do want to throw a couple comments that I just saw here. G23 says if someone is committing I believe he meant felony on your property in Oregon, you have the legal right to defend it with a firearm. And that comes back to knowing your state laws, because that is such a state by state situation there. That's not the case here. And I know that there are different versions of castle doctrine, different versions of stand your ground laws. We have a terrible version of we don't have stand your ground. I'm not even entirely thrilled with our castle doctrine. It could be better, but also G-Webs out there says, pro tip, if you want to be a good shooter, don't shoot the 10 millimeter short, also known as the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. Don't shoot that one. I know that's not exactly what he typed, but I'm just reading between the lines because I know what he really meant. So go with some sort of like a
40 super carry.
A 35 caliber Parabellum is perfect. It's the best all around cartridge. I think G-Webs would agree. Ouch. All right. So does anybody have anything else that we haven't talked about that needs to be said as far as the way that constitutional carry is a benefit, and not only to the citizens at large, but benefits instructors, but it can also benefit those who would become students? Anything that we need to cover yet that we haven't really touched on? My producer's shaking her head no, because she doesn't like to stay up late with these.
I would just say, constitutional carry, it's gonna help ensure a more secure and safe society. Part of it is you won't know who's carrying or who's not. Another part of it is you'll have people arming themselves for maybe the first time in their life, and they're able to defend themselves for the first time in their life. And I guess I would like to maybe see some crime statistics. Do crimes, crimes, in terms of just like assaults or whatnot, do those crimes drop off in states after they pass constitutional carry? I'd like to see what's happened in Texas and Kansas. I would assume yes. Yeah. Because you're gonna pick a fight with this guy, you don't know if he's packing, or you're gonna try to rob this person, they could have a gun. Honestly,
sure, which should be the case anyway, because whether it's lawful to do so or not, I mean, anybody that you run into at any given point could have either a legal or illegal concealed weapon of some type on them, right? I mean, it just behooves you to think about that before you start lipping off to people, right? But in the great scheme of things, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We're not going to get into reasons to pass constitutional carry. We did that a week ago. Actually, I will. You know what? I've got a link. I can put that right there in the. Here's a link to last week's episode if you missed it, over on the YouTube side anyway. If you're watching on Facebook, then you can find the videos really easily in our videos tab on the page too. We talked about reasons to pass constitutional carry a week ago. G-Webs also says, he's got some good stuff tonight. I think a great benefit of constitutional carry is the awareness that everyone in the state gains with the confidence that you can trust your neighbor with property that is dangerous. And that comes back to, pass the constitutional carry law, and the streets don't run red with blood, right? I mean, we've not heard about Tucson or Phoenix or Flagstaff having, gunfights in the street. Tombstone's different, but that's been a lot of years ago now. But all joking aside, it just hasn't happened the same way it hasn't happened, in our neighboring states. Like I said before, it hasn't happened in Des Moines. It hasn't happened in Kansas City. It hasn't happened in St. Louis, of all places, has not become just a battleground right? With permitless carry being allowed in Missouri. And so it's not going to happen in Omaha. It's not going to happen in Lincoln. It's not going to happen in Lynch, Nebraska, any more so than it's already not happening, right? Because people, by and large, like I said earlier, they are responsible, and that's, I think, again, we'll just go back to that, and that is what it comes down to as an instructor is you need to understand the population is not, again, by and large, the population is not irresponsible. If they were, we would not be pushing to grant, I shouldn't say grant more freedom, to recognize that the Constitution says we have these freedoms, right? And to get our freedoms back that the government infringed upon. And so if we really thought that people couldn't be trusted, I wouldn't be pushing for such a thing. I think by and large people can be responsible. I think they've shown themselves to be responsible. I think that firearm accidents and negligent discharges are by far and away the exception, right? Not the rule. And I do think that with increased awareness, I think that the number of accidents even goes down because we will see more people decide to get some training. It'll be more cost effective. Even the lower income households, it's a lot easier to take a $25 or a $50 class than $125 for a CHP class and then another $100 to the state patrol. I mean, you can chop that up into smaller, more manageable bites. And I tell you what, if you absolutely need some of this training and you can't afford it, get in touch with me. We'll figure something out. Because I don't think anybody should be denied their rights or the responsibility to exercise those rights.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
something here in Ohio that I would say pushed it over the goal line for us was the pandemic.
Sure.
And one of the things about it is that people all of a sudden realized was all of a sudden during the pandemic, everybody went lockdown and crime started going up. The police weren't responding as much as they used to. And you couldn't get they stopped processing permits. And all of a sudden people start realizing like, whoa, wait a minute, since the government's a gatekeeper and all of a sudden they made all these decisions unilaterally, they can prevent people from being able to defend themselves, literally. And that's where people in Ohio started saying, well, wait a minute, we're good law-abiding citizens. Why aren't we allowed just to carry, period, without getting government approval for it? And like I said, we've had 7 months of it, and so far I have not read a single story to where somebody, has used a gun erroneously, but they thought they were doing the right thing, because of constitutional carry.
It'll be interesting to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and because I'm going to make a prediction, and I'm not going to take the time to track this, but I know somebody will. Probably John Lott and Crime Prevention Research Center will be some of the folks that'll track this stuff. But I'd like to see if violent crime drops off in Ohio, because you're one of the newer states that just got constitutional carry last year. But I'd like to see if the level of violent crime drops off, and not gun crime out there, kids, if you're listening, violent crime as a whole, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your loved one was shot or knifed or clubbed. If they're hurt or dead, it doesn't matter what the method used was at that point, does it? Either your loved one is hurt or they're gone. You don't have them anymore. And so what difference does it make how it happened? What's important is that some animal decided to hurt them or kill them. So I'd love to be able to see if the violent crime rates have dropped in any of these states. And I know that some states have had it for a long time, and that data is out there. Ohio, it's too new to tell, right? You can't go off of 1 year. You need to track that over a course of years. But I think that the data, if we look at that where it has been compiled, I think it'll show that having citizens have better access, not only access to better tools for self-defense, i.e. firearms, but the ability to have them with them when they need them. That goes a long way to preventing violent crime, because, well, Wood said it here in a comment, when bad guys don't have to worry about citizens being armed, the bad guys use guns. Right? So yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. Society is safer when the criminals don't know who's armed. So yeah, that's a good thing. So we're gonna wrap this up a little bit, and since 4 of the 5 of us have a vested interest in what's going on with constitutional carry here in Nebraska, I'm guessing you guys will probably want to hang around. Rob, if you want to hang around for this part, we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on here in Nebraska with NFOA and this weekend and what's coming up next week. But if you got to get going and you don't need to hang around for that, I'll give you a chance to give some closing thoughts if you want to. And where can people find you?
Yeah, I need to get some flyers made up for upcoming classes for it. But thanks for having me on. Check out the Firearm Trainer podcast. You don't have to necessarily be a trainer to get usefulness out of the topics we have. Not everything might apply to you, but there's plenty of good topics. If you're around the Cincinnati area, Cincinnati, Ohio area, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, check out American Defense Training. That's my company, and we're doing classes on a monthly basis. Some are instructor classes to get certification, and a lot of them are also student classes to get people educated up on how to best exercise their rights and to live a safe lifestyle. So thanks for having me on again, John.
You bet. I'm going to throw your website here, the firearmtrainerpodcast.com, in the comments so people can just click on it. If I can spell right. There we go. So go check out Firearm Trainer Podcast, and definitely keep paying attention to upcoming episodes. You might just find another familiar voice besides Dan from Roseanne on that podcast sometime soon. So just a little foreshadowing there. There may be something in the works. Just saying. Rob, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for your expertise and your insight. And thanks for everything that you're doing. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Have a good night, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Rob. All right. We will let Rob pop out of here. Okay. So a couple things that I want to get to. And again, if you're still with us, it's probably because you have a vested interest in what's happening here in Nebraska. Real quick, before we get into that, my beautiful bride is reminding me, I want to poll the audience. So those of you that are catching this after the fact and not live, you should be here. You got some insight. I want to know out there in the comments, YouTube, Facebook, whatever you got, wherever you are. If you're on the live chat still, we're contemplating moving to a different night. Thursday, there's some stuff that goes on Thursdays that we have to, obviously cut out of our schedule to be here. We're thinking about a move to Wednesday. I don't want to go back to the normal Tuesday night because 9:00 Central is too late. I like doing the 8:00 time slot. I don't want to compete with Night Strike. Travis, I don't want you to feel like you have to pick between 2 different shows that you're typically on most weeks. So don't want to do that to you either. But Night Strike's a friend of mine, so I don't want to compete with him for hit or miss. So we're thinking Wednesday night, 8:00. Is that better for you? Worse for you out there in the comments? You panelists can weigh in as well. But just let me know because that's kind of what we're thinking. We may do if more people say that they'll watch us on Thursdays live than on Wednesdays. We'll probably keep it the same. If people say Wednesday's cool or more people would watch on a Wednesday, then we'll consider that move. Don't know for sure when. But G23 says, Chris, Wednesday night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Is that when Chris is on? That'll cut down on him being on this show.
Yeah, I think that's when he's on, or is it 7 Central, 8 Eastern? I'm not sure exactly what the time slot is.
I have to find that out. It's gonna be 8:00. 9's too late because I typically go more than an hour. And it just gets too late by the end of the night, especially if I have somebody like Rob from Eastern time. But 7, it's just too early. There are nights that I don't get home until after 7. And if it's the night that I close at my day job, then, I'm there till, almost 6:30 if we don't have any customers keeping us late. So it's just too much stress for me to be able to get home, not eat, jump right into the show. So 8 o'clock seems to work pretty well. Patriot says Wednesday's finalists. I want to do it early Saturday morning. I thought about that. I think I'd get a lot of viewers because there's nobody else doing it then. So the Patriot, here's the thing. Travis knows this. The reason why I'm not on his show on Caliber Corner Saturdays at 8 a.m. Central Time is because some Saturdays I have to work and I don't get a chance to be on the show. Other Saturdays I don't have to work and my happy butt wants to sleep till about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So there are times that the stars align. I don't have to work, and Travis has a topic that I absolutely want to weigh in on, and I do make it in there. Yeah. Oh, he starts at 8 o'clock Central. Okay. And G Web says, just quit the day job hobby. Be ready to host the show earlier. Dude, if I could
make it that easy, man.
Right. If I could make a go of it and not have to pay out of pocket for insurance, that'd be the benefits are a big thing, right? With a day job, it's not just the money, it's also the other stuff that comes.
It's the power,
the security, right? The power and the money and the power, minute after minute. Anyway, so yeah, let us know out there what you guys think. We may still move. You know what? There's not a time that somebody's not doing a thing, and so I get it if some of you won't watch because you're watching somebody else, but we may pick up others too. I mean, I had the same thing happen when I went from Tuesdays to Thursdays. So we'll see what happens. If you are not watching live, then hit us up, either comment down below on the video or email us. I'm not doing it Sunday morning. Well, that's when his was. Anyway, if or email us sandhillsmediaempire@gmail.com and let us know what you think, and share this and find out if somebody would be willing to tune in live right on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday, or if people want to keep it on Thursdays, we'll see what happens. So okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's happening on this weekend. We've got the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo coming up over the weekend down in Lincoln, Lancaster Event Center, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I should have pulled up the hours, but I don't have them in front of me for the exact hours. Joe, do you know them?
Not right offhand. I thought it was like 10 o'clock that started.
Well, it's
Saturday and Sunday.
It starts at 3 on Friday. That much I know because I'm planning on getting there about an hour early to get set up. And let's see here. I'm going to pull this up.
Okay, I got it, John. It's Friday, January 20th from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, there we go.
And then Saturday, January 21st from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then Sunday, January 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then there is an admission cost to get in, but I can just say it is definitely worth it just to check it out. I had a great time last year when I went to it. Friday special, ladies half price all day. So just as a heads up on that. And the military veterans half price all weekend.
That's awesome. All right. I'm on their Facebook page. I was looking for one of their pictures that actually shows the show hours, but they might not have posted one. They do have some cool stuff. They've got Melissa Bachman is coming back from Winchester Deadly Passion. So she's going to be doing a few seminars, and then she'll have a booth where she's doing autographs and pictures and whatnot. Can't think of the guy's name because I haven't watched the show since season 1, but one of the fellas off of Swamp People is going to be there. Same thing, doing some autographs and pictures and some seminars. I know they've got at least one seminar coming up with, I forget the name, but he is the head of Nebraska Game and Parks. There's going to be some cool stuff out there. There's a big buck contest. There is a shed antler contest. There is, Oh, what else? They've got
Sunday morning church service, man. No excuse not to go now. So
right.
there
They've
you
got
go.
an archery shoot going on. Typically, they've got the inflatable BB gun range out there with 4-H. So the kid take the kids. It's a family friendly event. There's something for all ages out there, and you can buy all kinds of cool popcorn and beef jerky and stuff. You know, go see a whole bunch of different outfitters and hunting guide services. Cabela's will be out there. Shields will be out there. Some good stuff happening. It grows every year, but Lancaster Event Center just off 84th Street over there on the east side of Lincoln. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I plan to be there for all or part of all 3 of the days. We won't get back to Lincoln until probably 3:30 on Saturday. So if my beautiful producer is off her day job in time on Saturday, and we can get right on the road and get back to Lincoln. But anyway, come check us out and stop and say hi. It's booth number 134 for Nebraska Firearms Owners Association. Get all the details coming up on the rally, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second, and the committee hearing and what's happening. Also, I haven't had a chance to read through everything, but we've got a couple other bills that one of which NFOA will definitely be addressing. We do have, it was just introduced, I believe yesterday or the day before. There is a new red flag law bill that's been introduced, again, couched under the guise of suicide prevention. If you don't know what red flag laws are or extreme risk protection orders, or in this bill, it's just an ex parte protection order. Ex parte, for those of you that aren't aware of legal jargon, that means that there's a hearing with a judge and somebody who filed a petition to take your stuff away, but you didn't get invited. You don't know about it. The only way you find out is after the judge signs off on it and sends the police to collect your guns because you've been deemed a threat to yourself or others in the near future. However, if you are dangerous to yourself or others, it seems like if you're already that unstable, taking away your guns, leaving the toaster in the bathtub, all the pills, the knives, the chainsaws, the car keys, leaving all that stuff, and then taking away your possessions with no due process, that couldn't possibly tip somebody all the way over the edge, could it? I mean, it's just, if they're dangerous, instead of removing the guns, why not remove them? Oh, we already have a law that allows for that, don't we? Okay, let's just make that one work better. Anyway, that is LB 482.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
also, we just had, I want to say it's LB, is it 421? I forget the exact name. This isn't gun stuff. If you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen a tweet that I have since deleted about this. There has been a bill that's been introduced that would put an age limit on drag shows. So people under 19 would not be able to be at a drag show. People under 21 would not be able to be at a drag show where alcohol is served. Now, at face value, before I read the bill, I was like, yeah, that sounds like a cool thing. I retweeted a tweet from Blaze that had said this was happening in Nebraska. Then I sat down and opened up the actual text of the bill and read it. And the problem that I have with this bill, and it bugs me to agree with Megan Hunt. I don't agree with her in principle. I do agree with her that the bill is not a good bill. She did file a motion to block the bill. I don't remember what the exact call it, but to put a stay on it, which basically kills the bill because it'll never come out of committee then. The reasons she did it are different than my reasons for not liking the bill. But basically what happens is they define what a drag show is, not by the content of the show or the context of the show, but simply by that the main performer in the show is dressed up in clothing that's opposite what their gender is. So if there's a girl wearing guy clothes on stage singing or dancing, then kids wouldn't be allowed, even if it's non-sexual in nature. And same with, if it's if there's just a guy like say Marilyn Manson. Now, I'm not saying that you should let your kids go to a Marilyn Manson concert, but that's the parents' decision, not the state's. And he's out there wearing a dress, singing. That would constitute a drag show under this law, and that would mean no 18-year-olds or under would be able to go. But it doesn't have anything to do with the content of the show. It doesn't say like a burlesque show where there's stripping or dancing in a sexual nature, and that's what I don't want to see kids exposed to. It's not about the drag part of the show. It's what they do in those shows typically that I don't think that little eyes should be allowed in to see. So if the bill talked about what's in the show and not who's doing it, then I'd be all about this bill. But the fact is, it does look like it's discriminatory against people that want to dress a certain way. It has no comment whatsoever on what they're doing besides singing, dancing, performing, but it doesn't list anything in a sexual nature. So if you're going to back that bill, just understand what you're backing. It's not it's not what it should be in my mind. So again, I don't want to agree with Megan Hunt, but at the same time, I can see where this bill isn't right. Now, she doesn't want anything that would limit trans people. And it's not for me, it's not about trans people. I don't think that little kids should be allowed to see a show where straight people take their clothes off and shake their butt in your face either. Right.
We already have a law on that, John. I mean, you can't go to a strip club. What's the difference?
Well, it depends on if it's like
if
a burlesque
non-alcohol,
show.
you only have to be 16, right? Or is it 18?
It's 19.
18. Is it
18?
19 now?
I think it's 18. Well, it was 18 when I was in high school, but yeah.
That's what I'm going off of.
Either way, it's but like a burlesque show where there are some articles of clothing removed. There's no nudity, right? So that doesn't necessarily count as a strip show, I don't think. So, but still, it's sexual in nature. I don't think that children should be exposed to that. But again, that's not what the bill says. So, so I just wish that it was reworded. Now, Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire, again, I mean, I guess it is the main performer. So yeah, I mean, yeah, great shows. MASH comes to mind, right? Dude walking around in a dress. So
it's just too much.
He was going for Section 8. Come on, that's a different story.
Counts. Clearly a big hairy dude, a hairy what's Jamie Farr, a Jewish man who is wearing a dress, right? Trying to get thrown out of the army because he doesn't want to fight. So yeah. M. Gabriel's talking about, I think red flags also discourages people from getting mental health help. Yeah, let's exacerbate a symptom instead of trying to just fix the underlying or cure the underlying disease altogether, right? And I'm not saying that mental health is a disease. I'm just saying in general, it's not even putting a Band-Aid on a wound. It's rubbing alcohol on a wound, and well, I don't even say that because it's dumping salt on a wound. Because rubbing alcohol may at least have some redeeming value for disinfection, right? It's just pouring salt in the wound instead of actually curing the wound. So all right. So anyway, LB 77, constitutional carry in Nebraska. The hearing is set. It is. It's now officially official. We knew when it was going to happen, but now we know it's on the books. January 26th. It'll take up the whole afternoon for the Judiciary Committee. We have yet to be told how long everybody's going to get to talk. From the way that Brewer was talking on our NFOA town hall a couple weeks back, typically what committee chairs will do, and he has been and is a committee chair, so he kind of knows how that works. But typically, if it's going to be a big bill that draws a lot of people, which this will, if we have our way, then they'll usually say 3 minutes. Now, a couple of years ago, Lathrop dropped it down to 1 minute each, and that was, you don't even have time to introduce yourself, let alone get a thought out in a minute. So hopefully Senator Wayne doesn't drop it any lower than 3 minutes. It's usually 6 minutes, but when a lot of people need to get worked through, they'll cut it down to 3. So plan on a 3 minute testimony if you're going to show up. If you get back here to this page, and I will post this too.
You're talking about if you can't attend the hearing, you can submit your comments online now, John?
Yes, since the hearing is officially on the legislative calendar for Judiciary Committee, the link is now active on the landing page for the bill. So I just posted a link to the landing page of the bill. On that landing page, let's go there. Let me share my screen here. We'll go to that one right there. Okay, so if you click that link, you'll go to this page here for LB 77. And right here in the middle, there's a big button that says Submit Comments Online for LB 77. If you click that, first of all, a little waiver pops up, and it says this is intended to encourage public participation. Comments submitted through this portal will be available to all legislators and staff. Additionally, they may be read and or discussed during hearings and floor debate. Comments submitted online and verified prior to the deadline, identified as comments for the public hearing record, will be included in that record. I'll explain that in a second. There should be no expectation of privacy. So basically, this is an online comment is no different than an in-person testimony. You're going on the record, especially here. If you click this little dot right here, include comment in hearing record, then it becomes a testimony, just as the same as if you were there in person. And so you fill out all of this info. You've got a big box down here to put 500 words or less for your comment. You need to pick one of these three boxes here, whether you are a proponent, which means you're for LB 77. Opponent means you oppose it, you're against it. Neutral means exactly that. You're neither for nor against it, but you still want to comment. Oftentimes what happens is a person or a group will comment neutral and say, if they would change this, then we'd be for it. But since it's the way it is right now, we're not against it. We just can't say that we're for it. We have actually, as an organization, NFOA has testified neutral in the past. It's rare, but we've done it. So you would click proponent. If you don't know your district, there's a link to find your district. Fill out all of this stuff. And then, of course, down at the bottom, you would click You're Not a Robot and then submit your comment. I'm not going to do that here, but that is the process for that. So if you cannot make it in person and you would like to get your comment in on the public record, that is the way to do it. They do not accept written testimonies anymore. So you can't print it out, sign it, and mail it to the Capitol. It won't go anywhere. I don't know where it goes, but it's not part of the public record. The online comments and in-person testimonies only. Now, having said that, it was commented on NFOA's Facebook page here yesterday or the day before that if we tell people there's an option for online comments, we won't get anybody down there. I don't believe that for a second. I believe that there are a lot of people that wish they could be down there. Now they have an easy option to still get their testimony included. But I'm going to say this again, and I'll say this all the way up through Wednesday night next week. We want you in the Capitol. If you are hearing my voice, we want your body in the Capitol on Thursday, January 26th, 2023. Even if you're not prepared to testify, that's okay. What we want is for you to come, first of all, come to the rally. NFOA is hosting a rally. Exact place to be determined. Typically, we do those on the steps on the west side of the Capitol building, out by the street, over by the Abe Lincoln statue there. But that's probably where it'll be. I don't know for sure. I haven't got that worked out 100% yet. But weather permitting, we will have a microphone and speakers, so it'll be nice and loud for folks. I do plan on, I was thinking about live streaming it, but I can't guarantee stream quality. So what I think I'm going to do is set up a tripod. I'm going to record the rally, and then I will be posting it up on NFOA and here as well. That way I know for sure that we don't lose anything due to internet being spotty or going down or something like that with extra traffic on a cell tower that can definitely drop bandwidth. And we're hoping to get a lot of people there. So 11:30 Central Time for the rally, and then 2 hours later, 1:30 p.m. is when the hearing commences for LB 77 in the Judiciary Committee room. Haven't heard more, but Brewer was going to talk to Senator Wayne, who is Judiciary Chair, about procuring another room in the Capitol for some overflow where people can come in and sit and view the hearing on a television screen so that they know what's going on, even if they're not able to be in the room. Judiciary Committee has a fairly good-sized room, but you could usually pack about, I don't know, between 50 and 100 people in there. I don't know the exact number. It's not a ton. And so we will be asking people to kind of cycle in and out. Typically for big crowds, they will just form a line in the hallway. And as one person comes out, the next person gets to go in. The sergeant at arms gets to take care of that, making sure that the room doesn't get overloaded. So be prepared for that. If you want to speak early, definitely want to get there early, right? But yeah, I don't expect Senator Wayne to do what Lathrop did the last 2 years and limit testimonies to 30 minutes each, 30 minutes for, 30 minutes against, 30 minutes neutral. I don't look for that. I look for everybody who wants to talk to get a chance. And so more to come when we know exactly what's going to happen. That'll be kind of a late decision. I'm sure we won't get that right away. But as soon as we know that, of course, we will be putting that word out. So if you want to know how to get that info, if you're on Facebook, go follow Nebraska Firearms Owners Association Facebook page. If you've not been getting the emails, and if you're not sure, one came today. So if you didn't get an NFOA email today, but you want to be on the email list, then email info@nebraskafirearms.org and let them know, let us know, let them know that you want to be included on the email list, and they will get your email address added so that as we disseminate this info, that you can get it there. DJ says, if you're there, yield seats to the handicapped attendees. Absolutely right. And they usually have a few spots opened up without a chair so that there are places for the folks in wheelchairs. Let's see here. I've lost some comments here. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. Can't they not bring that up? Why is it even getting a hearing? That may be for the I'm not sure which one is that. Is that M. Gabriel? Clarify, is that about the drag show bill? I'm not sure what you're asking there. It's probably not going to get a hearing because Megan Hunt put in a request to indefinitely stay or indefinitely postpone that bill. So we'll see what happens if that gets granted or not. We'll see. But that's I'll be asking about red flags. Why is it even getting a hearing? Because every bill that's submitted gets a hearing if it hasn't been indefinitely postponed. It's just the process. Most of the there are hundreds or thousands of bills in a session that get introduced. They all have to get a hearing unless they're submitted too late to get it scheduled. But sometimes that's all that happens. There's a hearing and then it doesn't go anywhere. They don't all get voted out of committee for a floor debate. That's what the committees do. The legislature doesn't have time to debate 1,000 bills every year. And so the committees, it's their job to filter out the ones that have no merit and then send the bills that need to be discussed that out to the floor for a full Senate debate so that they can streamline the process. That's how it works at the federal level. That's how it works at the state level. That's what the committees do. And so that's why it gets a hearing, because it has to. Hopefully it dies in committee. They hopefully Judiciary Committee, or I think it's Judiciary that's going to hear that one. Hopefully they will see that as just a poison pill. It's not going to fly. If it does get passed out of committee, then yeah, hopefully we have enough senators with common sense in their minds to say that that's a huge infringement on a lot of different constitutional rights. So
We got 32 senators. As long as they hold their ground, we shouldn't have any problem.
Well, it'll take 33 votes to break a filibuster. Last year we got 31 votes in the second round, too shy of advancing it. So now the landscape is different. We've got a lot of brand new senators this year that seem to be. I know one of them. I've talked to him personally, and he's one of the co-sponsors for LB 77. And so I know he is absolutely a proponent of constitutional carry. And here's another thing, and I keep saying this. I had a chance to say this yesterday / today. Yesterday, I was on a special edition of the Polite Society podcast show, The Daily Bullet. He did. He went live yesterday morning when we recorded. It went out on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. But that was today's episode that dropped at 5:00 today as the regular scheduled episode for the Daily Bullet. But I said it then, and I'll say it here too. If it does make it out to a floor debate, we want all of the senators who are for this bill to stay out of the queue, not talk, because here's what happens. The first round is 8 hours of debate. And if there is enough to talk about that the filibuster senators can run their mouths for 8 hours, they can force a vote that requires 33 to pass. But if they run out of steam, because they can't talk forever, they get 5 minutes at a time, 3 times. And I don't think there are enough opponents to fill 8 hours worth of time with those constraints. So if the people for the bill stay out of the queue and don't take up any time, then the opponents will run out of things to say or opportunities to say them before 8 hours is up. If that happens, then it only takes 25 votes to pass and it goes to the next round. So that's what we want. If it does go to a floor debate, or when it goes to a floor debate, make sure that you let your senator in your district know that you would like it if they would just be quiet for the debate and let the opponents run out of time or run out of words before the time runs out. And then there won't be a vote for cloture. It'll just be a straight vote. 25 will pass it on to the next round. And that's what we're looking for. I didn't understand last year because I heard Brewer say he asked all of his colleagues who were for the bill to stay out of the queue and not talk. And I thought, well, that just gives everybody a chance to talk about why not to pass it, but no reasons to pass it. I don't think, looking at it now, I don't think anybody was convinced by what those senators had to say either way. But they did take up the full time, and they had to have the cloture vote to break the filibuster. So we're hoping the filibuster doesn't work. It only works if people keep talking for 8 hours. So stay out of the queue. Let the opponents run out of opportunities in the queue, and then pass it like a normal bill. So that's what we're looking for. But Thursday, January 26th, 2023, we a couple years ago, we had a few hundred people show up to testify against a suicide prevention bill, and a lot of them were testifying against red flag law. We want to see thousands in Lincoln this week. So if you can make it, please come down. Even if you're not going to testify, come down, go sign into the committee room. You're going to the committee room, sign in. You don't have to talk, but sign in as a proponent of the bill so that your presence can be counted. Because the more people that do that, the better count we'll have, an accurate count on how many people are there. But Trish Harold, NFOA president, and I both have a vision that we had hundreds before. We want thousands this time. We're working on a bus. If you need a ride and you can get yourself to Kearney, you can get on a bus. If we need to charter more buses, if this one fills up, we would love that. Would be a great problem to have. Kelvin over at NRA ILA is helping us organize that. So again, if you can get to Kearney and you'd like to ride the bus, or if you'd like a bus from where you are, send us an email, info at Let me just write this out in the comments. At Nebraska Firearms .org. Send us an email and let us know, and we'll see what we can do. I can't promise less than a week out that we can charter buses from, lots of places across Nebraska. But if we could, I'd love to have a North Platte bus. I'd love to have a Scotts Bluff bus come on down. And those of you, if you know somebody, if you yourself or you know somebody out in the Panhandle, get the word to them, right? Spread the word, because when people are willing to drive down from Harrison, Harrisburg, if you came from Kimball, or even clear down, like Benkelman area, Imperial, those places. If you're from way out in the western edges of the state, Henry, talking to you out there, come on down. And when people say that they drove, 5-6 hours to get to Lincoln because it was that important to them, don't think that goes unnoticed. Okay, especially if you do testify. And you can say, look, I came from west of Scotts Bluff out on the Wyoming state line. I came from clear out past Chadron out at Fort Robinson area. Or I was out in Sioux County coming down from Harrison. And heck, if you only have to come from Waverly, still come on over. We want everybody there. But it's so much more powerful when we get people from all across our state testifying. It shows the senators on the committee, and it shows everyone that this is a big, huge issue that Nebraskans want to have constitutional carry. So another thing that we have been trying to push, we would love to have a stack of letters from every county sheriff in the state saying that they support LB 77. Now, realistically, I would like to have a stack of 90 to 91 letters or emails printed out that Senator Brewer can walk in his hand and hold up the stack of letters and say 90 or 91 county sheriffs in Nebraska have sent me a letter or an email saying that they support LB 77. And that also is powerful, because that means that, it's only the Lincoln and Omaha police officers or sheriff or police chief that are against this, but Greater Nebraska definitely wants our freedom, and we want to gain our rights back that the state should never have taken away. So contact your county sheriff and ask him or her to either write a letter if there's time to get it to Lincoln, or just email it off to Senator Brewer. That is, I want to say T Brewer at, I don't remember what the domain is now. Shoot, let me come back here. Let me do this.
It's T Brewer at leg.ne.gov.
I'm going to put that in the comments. At leg.ne.gov.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if they can't send a letter in time, they can send an email, and that will work too. A letter on letterhead would be amazing. But an email would be better than no contact whatsoever. So please contact your county sheriff, and the more people that do it, that might bring a sheriff off the fence and say, because again, you guys know this, sheriffs are elected positions, right? So you can fire your sheriff. The mayor has to be the one to fire the chief of police, but you can fire the sheriff if they don't do the things that you expect them to do as far as duties go. And so they swore an oath, just like all these state senators did, right, to support the Constitution. So make sure that they understand what supporting the Constitution means. That means that we uphold the rights for everybody that are listed in our Constitution. And in our state Constitution, it's Article 1, Section 1. I would hope every county sheriff has read our state Constitution and the federal one, but we can't assume things. But just make sure that, again, you'll catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Don't call them up and say, hey, do this or else we'll vote you out. There's a diplomatic way to say that, right? But most sheriffs, that's not a problem. 91 counties put in a 2A sanctuary county measure. So those county sheriffs in those counties were already in favor of not having to enforce unconstitutional laws. So not having to require a permit to wear your jacket over your handgun on your belt, that seems like a slam dunk. The sheriff should support that as well. So again, 91 of them should support such a thing anyway. Joe, have I missed anything? Have I forgotten to mention any of the stuff that we've been talking about or pushing people to do?
No, mainly is next Thursday, like you said, can meet us at the Capitol at 11:30 or 11 o'clock to 1:30. That's the link you posted earlier about finding the bills. Another good one to look for would be the LB 194, which is that Second Amendment Preservation Act by Senator Holleran. They'd be able to look that up under that same site as well.
What was the number?
LB 194.
194. Let's pull that up. And I will also do this.
We also have a couple of gun shows we're going to be representing too, correct?
We've got a
this
few
weekend?
this weekend. Yeah, Aaron, our now co-board member. Aaron's been a volunteer and just been an animal at a lot of gun shows across the state. He's been doing some good spreading the word, but he's one of our fellow board members now. But Aaron will be out at the Deer and Game Expo with me and one other board member on Friday, and then he's going to break off, and Saturday, Sunday he'll be in Fort Calhoun at the Legion Gun Show out there. So stop by and talk to Aaron out at the Fort Calhoun Gun Show. He's got a few others. I don't know what all gun shows he's going to be at. There's one coming up in March here in Norfolk. I'll be out at that one. And I don't know about any. I don't know if I'm going to make it to any of the rest of them. But yeah, stop by and find out. If you need some info about what's happening with LB 77 or the rally or the hearing, or what to talk to the sheriffs about, or what to talk to your senators about, Aaron can tell you. Stop by and find us at the Deer and Game Expo. Reach out to us. Again, info@nebraskafirearms.org. If you want those emails and you're not getting them, and like I said, one came today, so if you didn't get it, then make sure that you send us an email saying, hey, I'd like to be put on the list, and we'll get that done. How many attendees do I think the Deer and Game Expo? Weather's going to be decent, I think, this year. It's going to be several hundred. So, and last year we kind of got our registration in late. We were kind of in an out of the way spot. It was easy for people to kind of walk around us and not go right past us. This year, we're going to be right back up by the opening to get into the bathrooms and concession stand. We're going to be kind of right front and center. So
what booth number?
Booth number 134.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we'll be hard to miss, and we should be
follow
able to
your nose. So
it'll
take you right by us.
yeah, exactly.
They have good coffee there too, by the way. I will attest. It was pretty good food last year. I ate a lot last year when we were there. It was bad. I kept going to the snack stand. So yeah, bring your money.
Yeah. Great idea, DJ. Thanks for the reminder. I can go back through after the fact and add all these email addresses and links into the video description as well. So I can just edit that. So yeah, if you missed all these, you can replay the live chat, or you can get them from the description. I'll put those in. So let's see here. All right.
One thing I was going to mention, John, is, you were talking about having to go to culture if they speak for 8 hours, right?
Right.
And like Brewer said, if everybody who already co-sponsored, which was 25 plus one, including him, total of 26 senators, if they don't say a word and they stay out of the queue, and everybody else wants to use up all their time, we're under 6 hours.
Yeah.
So we're good. So even if we get a few
there shouldn't be really any amendments introduced that will add much to that. So we should be good to go there. So yeah, the first round is 8 hours, the second round is 4 hours, and the third and final round is a 2-hour debate. So we need to pick up some steam as we go, because the shorter that time gets, the easier it is to filibuster the whole time away. But even at that, I think we can do it, because I think the merits of, again, just the concept that, Well, two things. Number one, we don't require a permit to exercise any other right besides the right to keep and bear arms. You never are going to get told. Well, I shouldn't say you never are, but right now you cannot be told in this country, well, you're not allowed to go to church today because you don't have your church permit, right? Or you're not allowed to have a worship service because you don't have the proper paperwork in order to have a worship service on your own private property. You can't get told you don't get a fair and speedy trial because you have not taken the training class and gotten that license to a fair and speedy trial. That doesn't happen. You can't get told, well, we're going to stop and frisk you because you don't have a Fourth Amendment permit on you. It doesn't happen because it can't. You have that right. You don't need a permit. You don't need any special training. You don't even need to be aware of that right in order to be granted that right. A lot of people don't know that they have the right to not house soldiers during peacetime, right? We have that right. The Third Amendment says so. The military cannot force you to give them shelter and food and water during times of peace. People don't even know that, but you have that right whether you knew it or not. You have the right to keep and bear arms, period. Shall not be infringed. That's all it means. It means that you have that right, period. End of sentence, full stop.
You got to keep an eye on it, though. We have to pay attention. We have to be alert. And this is what is really, really good about your podcast, adding this in. But I will give you one that we're having to keep an eye on. Somebody's important.
Sorry about that.
There's actually, I almost missed this podcast tonight because I was going to another meeting. And when I got there literally was no parking. And it was all about zoning. And one of the things that they were looking at is, a lot of churches, people that do start churches, they start in a home. Mm-hmm. And under this new zoning stuff that they were looking at, you were going to have a permit to be able to gather at your home. This is in a county that's right next door to the county I live in. Wow. So needless to say that they had, there's a couple of people messaged me. I went there to get in, and literally there was no parking. And the guys inside, out, huh? Oh, it did. There was they said it was packed, and there was hundreds in the hallway. Awesome. So yeah, absolutely. And that's a good example of exactly why, even if you're able to, send a message to Senator Brewer, which is fine. That makes sure that you're there as well, but show up. There is definitely, power of the people. Show up, be observed, be there. If you don't have the opportunity to say something, you can still sign off and state, I am for this bill. You can still sign in, just like you said. Mm-hmm. But tonight was a very good example. I had 2 or 3 people texting me going, did you get in? I'm like, no, I couldn't. They're like, it's freaking packed. There's no parking. So it was really awesome to see, sometimes it's sad. It takes something like that of somebody, in my opinion, violating their Fourth Amendment right because they're trying to seize it.
It takes people being on the brink of losing something sometimes here in Nebraska to get them fired up. Which county is that, Joe, that happened in?
Washington County.
Okay, Washington County, good on you for knowing your rights and showing up to fight for them so they're not taken away. And a couple years ago, the reason so many people came down to the state capitol is they thought that they were testifying against a red flag law bill. They weren't. That had already been heard. It was a miscommunication from the organizers of the people that bust people over there. Anyway, here's what I want to see. I want to see Nebraskans actually get fired up to go on the offensive and take back some ground, right? Everybody digs in to play defense because we don't want to lose anything that we currently have. But come on, Nebraska, we've got a real chance here. If you will help, we've got a real chance at gaining something back that was taken away from us, that was given to us back it was recognized back in 1986 that we should have permitless carry. But then the legislators passed a law that said it's illegal to carry a concealed firearm or a concealed weapon. And when it was brought to their attention that the Article 1, Section 1 says that not to be touched, they said, well, then you'll have to sue us, which never happened. So 20 years later, 2006, we become a shall issue permit state. So now we're looking at 17 years later. It's time to become no permit needed. permitless carry, constitutional carry. Let's make this happen, Nebraska, but only if you get fired up. I don't know what I have to say to you guys out there to get you fired up, but if I figure it out, I'll say it. But come on, come to Lincoln. Let's make this happen. And then when it comes time for floor debates, get on the horn and tell your elected legislator what you expect of him or her. And then call the other 48 and tell them what you think too. Be nice about it. Be respectful, but be firm. So let's go. Let's see you all on Thursday. Come say hi. Stop at the rally, 11:30. Come to the hearing, 1:30. If you need a bus, it's going off, happening in Kearney. Okay, my beautiful producer says I've ranted long enough. It is time to go through the list, and then we're going to wrap things up. So out there in the comments, I did see a couple from Facebook way early in the chat, besides the ones that I made. I know we had at least one person out there saying that he was watching. I have to scroll all the way back up. Cliff Tedrick. That's who it was. Cliff, thanks for commenting over there on Facebook. On the YouTube side, and again, if I didn't read your name, it's because you didn't comment, or you only commented once, and my beautiful producer missed your comment because it was kind of hot and heavy there for a bit. But we had G23, Travis P11, Patriot in the Dark. I saw where you said you do have my number, so give me a holler. We'll figure out a time. Shoot me a text and make sure it's a decent time to call, Patriot. Asta 3019, thanks for joining us tonight. M. Gabriel, Joe Jag, Two Live Moo, DJ Play Nice, Sam of Anarchy, Ronald Robertson, thanks for joining us. Hope to see you back here quite often, neighbor. Shoot me an email sometime, and we'll have to catch up sometime. Go grab a tasty beverage. Ozzy Osbourne, Hunting and Stuff with J&J, Blitz, Eric McKee. I don't think I've seen Eric out here before, so glad to have you along. Woods was out there, Keith Umstead, Mike, Hillbilly Up, Tim S., Agorizer, Keith Gregory, G. Webb's Defense Dad, and I believe a partridge in a pear tree. So thanks, guys, for the comments, guys and gals. For the comments, thanks for being here. We did have a few extra people that I'm not used to seeing. And at one point, I did see over 20 concurrent viewers. So, Rich, I know that you've been doing some stuff over on the TikTok to help drive a few people this direction, both towards Sandhills Media and towards NFOA. Dude, I can't thank you enough for your effort. That's how Nebraskans work, guys. We help each other. Do you want us to help you? You've got to help us help you. You've got to help yourselves. You've got to help each other. Let's go to Lincoln, guys. I'll see you there Thursday, weather permitting. There's no snowstorms between now and then. But thanks. We'll give you guys a chance for any closing thoughts. We'll go back around the horn here. Joe, anything that you wanted to mention before we wrap this up?
No, I think we pretty well covered it tonight. You know, we gave him some bills to look at. You gave him where to. Did I break up there for a second?
You did, but you're good now.
Okay. No, you gave them the option. It's in there. You said you're gonna put the link up. Go check those bills out. You know, there's other ones that they're mentioning. Be informed. You know, let's do like what John was talking about earlier. I would love to see Nebraskans become more proactive instead of reactive.
Amen.
That's what we need. Get on the line. Let's go after them, and let's push long enough that they realize, okay, we're not going to be able to slide this crap through anymore. They're paying attention. They're watching. Yeah. I love the woke culture they're always talking about, because they keep forgetting that there's a lot of people that are very similar minded to us who enjoy our constitutional rights that assumed the people we were hiring to represent us were doing their job. Well, that's the other side of the woke culture that really makes me laugh. A lot of people have woken up and go, no, wait, you need to do your job. This is what you asked us to send you there for. Do it. Yeah. And as long as we pay attention, we'll be proactive. We'll be on the situation. And I think we can make some really great strides here in the near future. So definitely keep at it.
I think you're right. I think that's true. But yeah, let's show them that that we want this. How bad do you want it, Nebraska? Do you want to show the lawmakers, or do you want them to think that there's no need to worry about it because they haven't heard from enough of you? Because that's what I heard last year. I haven't heard from enough people in Nebraska that want this. There's really no reason to pass it. It's not that important. Well, let's take that one away. Let's give them a big old FU burger in the form of your presence in Lincoln, Thursday, January 26, 2023. Can't wait to see all of you. Travis,
I was going to throw one last thing in there just to tell you how nervous they are. Normally they only present about 500 or so bills per legislation.
Yeah.
This year so far, there's been 1,100 presented.
Wow.
They are just flooding it. So we need to definitely show up and let them know which ones are important.
Yeah. Yep. Because that's just an attempt to clog up the works and throw a bunch of crap down the drain, hoping that the good stuff gets stopped with it. So you're right.
I'm done. Go ahead, Travis.
Travis, closing thoughts. Where can people find what you're doing?
Well, I can only echo what Joe and John have already said because that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, I'm the player. These guys are the coaches. Let's go to town, baby. Let's take it.
I woke up feeling the cheesiest, coach.
Oh, let's go, Rudy. All right. So, I hope we can make it happen. I mean, Nebraskans, you got to get involved. You got to show support for it. If you want more information on it, that town hall meeting that you hosted, John, that you guys had a couple weeks ago was really good. And I did post a link for it in the chat over here. So go subscribe to the NFOA channel over on YouTube. You can join NFOA even if you're not a Nebraskan. It's great to have the support, strength in numbers. Otherwise, no, I'm just excited for it. I really hope it happens this year. And I think it's going to be a good thing. I've got a lot of family members that are interested in it. I got a lot of family members that have told me that if they get firearms, they're definitely going to get some education on those firearms, actual legit training. They're not just going to go buy them. So I've got several that want to do this. They've just been holding off, or maybe don't want to spend the $200, on top of everything else you got to pay to make it happen. So I think it's going to be a good thing. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Otherwise, finding me, Travis P11 over on YouTube. You can do a Google search on that. It'll pop up all of the different social media sites you can find me on. Caliber Corner is a podcast I do on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. It's a great show. Check it out. We'll be doing a debriefing with Chris from the 740 on SHOT Show, just talking about his trip to SHOT Show, what it was like, what he thought about it. Was it worth it? What did he see that kind of tripped his trigger, so to speak? And it should be a lot of fun. It'll be kind of fun to catch up with him.
Sweet.
So that's the plan for Saturday.
Get myself up early enough to go catch that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm really kind of curious. I'd love to go to SHOT Show. It's not going to happen. I mean, obviously it's not too late this year, but we got Wanamaker coming up in April, so I'm excited for that. I'll probably head down to that this year. So it should be good.
I don't know that I want to make it to SHOT at least once just to say that I was there, but it's probably not going to be something I go back to. But I definitely want to go back to Wanamaker sometime soon. I don't know about this year. We'll see. But we are planning on going to GRPC, and that's going to be a lot of fun too. Catch up with a lot of people there. So,
right on.
But that's because I more identify as a 2A guy than a gun guy, at least as far as my online presence goes. And so SHOT Show is all about the hardware, but GRPC is all about the human aspect and the networking, and which is why it was first launched.
Created.
So
yeah,
that's gonna be a lot of fun too.
Cool,
man. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
Always,
and catch Travis this Saturday, 8 a.m. Central Time, Caliber Corner, just on the SHOT Show recap with Chris from the 740. Rich, anything that you wanted to wrap up, and where can people find what you're doing online? Because you're doing a lot of it.
You three have pretty much nailed everything, except for we got them on the ropes. Let's finish this off next Thursday and let's get it done. Let's move to the next bill after this one.
Absolutely.
But, I'm dropping a few more videos there on TikTok and to start pushing some more content on YouTube here. Kind of wanting to move some of my followers over here on YouTube. You can catch me here, 10X Shooters on YouTube and TikTok. Like I said, I dropped 3 or 4 this week. Gonna drop a bunch this weekend just to get everybody. I got a lot of followers from Nebraska on my TikTok, so I'm gonna try my best to push and help my community out here and help John out and Travis and Joe and everybody else in the chat. So.
Speaking of different platforms, I'm going to put this one in the chat as well. I have got my page over on Rumble set up, and as soon as I have 25 subscribers over there, then I can start going live on Rumble. I'll probably stay on Facebook. I'll stay on YouTube. Twitter will be the one that suffers there, gets taken off. If I can start going live over on Rumble. So we've got 4 followers right now. So I need 21 more of you to go to Rumble and go to that link. You can follow me, and as soon as I've got 25 followers or more, I'll be able to go live on Rumble. It's so cool. Rumble doesn't put restrictions on you. You can shoot guns on your videos in Rumble and not be demonetized. It's a pretty neat deal. So and I now have these set up so these shows will go to Rumble. Even if they're not live, they will still be uploaded after the fact. So even if I can't go live, you'll be able to see this show there before too long. So go check that out over on rumble.com. How do I say this? They went public, so they're publicly owned now. But Rumble merged with locals.com, which was started by Dave Rubin from the Rubin Report. If you don't know who that dude is, you need to go check him out. He's a good guy. Very, very awake, not woke kind of guy. Left the Democrat Party and then left California because he just couldn't stand living in tyranny anymore. So he moved to Florida here about a year ago. He's not your typical, he's not super conservative. He didn't leave the left. The left left him. Kind of like that sliding scale that Elon Musk put on Twitter here several months back, where, you know, he used to be left to center, but then the left went so far left that the center point moved, and now he's right of center. That's kind of how Dave Rubin is. He's growing in his conservatism. Not your typical conservative. He's married to a man, but you know, he's still he sees the world the way that it actually is, not the way that he wishes it was. So he's the type of guy that if the emperor is marching down the street naked, Dave Rubin's going to say, hey, the dude's naked. He's not going to go along and pretend like he's wearing some really cool clothes. So again, if you don't know that old story, you need to look up the Emperor's New Clothes, because there's a lot of that crap going on today, figuratively speaking. So, all right. Again, can't stress it enough. NFOA rally, 11:30 next Thursday, the 26th. The hearing starts at 1:30. So get there early and get there often. No, but make sure you get there. And again, stop by and say hello. I still have not this one that's got my sweat in it, but I've still got one of these that's never been worn, brand new. I've not sweated in it. Nobody's sweated in it. I think I'm going to try and reserve that for the person that comes up to me and tells me where they came from, that is the farthest out, the one that traveled the farthest to Lincoln. So come find me, and I will pay the postage. So I won't be able to award it on the spot, but I will keep track of where people came from, how far they traveled to get to Lincoln. And whoever had to go the farthest that is a Nebraskan, and if you're coming from another state, bless you, please do. But the Nebraskan that traveled the farthest to come be there in person, I will mail the hat to your mailing address. So I'll pay for that postage. It's going to be fun. All right. Thanks, everybody. On behalf of Joe, Travis, Rich, my beautiful bride, and myself, we love you. God bless you. It's time for us to go. It's time for you to go. You need to get out of here. Get off my lawn.